Hello and welcome back to the week. Well, not the weekend spread. Jesus. Welcome back to the Schooner Pod. I'm your host, Bobby Howard. With me today, we've got Jameson Maxwell, Ty Lee. Boys, we're fresh off of the OU bye week. So not only that, no game to talk about. Not only that, but we're kind of in a tough spot where Kent State isn't super substantial. We've already kind of talked about Mateer, but honestly, I like taking these bye weeks as a way to kind of check the temperature of where OU is at in the season, how things are going. And honestly, it's weird because, by every metric, ranked 5 in the country, undefeated. We should be buzzing about this team. And I think there are some things to be excited about, but overall, there are just so many questions, Jameson, especially with Mateer being out for an undetermined amount of time.
Yeah, I think that there's some things that Sooner fans can be a little bit even more excited about this Kent State game than they were beforehand because of the unknowns, right? This was just going to be a game, just recalibrate and get ready for Texas. But now it's like, what is Hawkins going to look like with Mateer out? That's like the biggest thing. And what is he going to be different that he was last year? We know he's a runner, right? Like we know he can go out there and run. If he runs in this game, I don't care. I truly do not care if he makes big runs because I've already seen that before. What can he do in passing? Does he have good touch? Was he doing that in the spring and in the in the summer that we heard about? And can he actually show it in a game?
Yeah, Ty, you got it.
No, sorry. I had another window open because I was looking at to see if he's put on any weight because he certainly looked like it, which is obviously not a big benefit to the pass game, but also not a negative. But yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see because we don't know how long he's going to be our starting quarterback as long as Mateer is healing. So certainly, hopefully, in this game, again, like we talked about in some previous weeks, is we're going to win the football game. Are we going to cover? Tune in Wednesday because that 45.5 point spread is tough, even against a team like Kent State. But I would love to see a lot of work and a lot of deliberate work by our offensive coordinators and our offensive staff to really get just a ton of game reps passing for Michael Hawkins. Because like Jameson said, we know he can run, and he's going to look like an excellent runner against Kent State. But really building that game chemistry with our receivers. One thing that I'm really going to be looking forward to in this game is seeing if he has sort of a favoritism toward any receivers, because right now he's going to be dealing with a receiving core that the top 2 guys were not guys that he was throwing to. Well, maybe he threw to Kanik to some in practice if he was throwing interceptions, but Kanik and Satania are not guys that he has been throwing the ball to. So completely new top 2 pass catchers. Obviously, Kanik is not a receiver.
Look at Ty saying Deion Burks is WR3, or I guess pass catcher 3 for us.
But I'm going down the stat, like that's the stats right now. Like the guys with the most targets, the most yards, or those 2. So I think Deion Burks is WR1, but I think people are covering him, and he's like 5'8". So it's like there's not a whole lot you can do when people are just locking him down every game, and he's getting bullied. So
yeah. It is a different offense than it was the last time he had the full reins of this team. He's not throwing to Ivan Carrion and Zion Kearney and like those guys as his primary options like he was against Navy. It's a different situation for sure, and he's a different quarterback. And you've heard reports about how good he's looked in spring. If you've tuned into the Oklahoma Breakdown, you've heard them rave about him. And, everyone who is a true proper insider of this, that has been to practice and has watched this version of Michael Hawkins, has had a lot of positive things to say, for sure. And I think for me, I don't want to call anything about the Mateer injury a silver lining. There are literally only 2 good things that have come out of it, like that you could even call good. They're minute compared to it. One is Dr. Shin, and we can talk about that, all the memes involved with that. And the other is that this Kent State game is now actually pretty interesting, like we were saying. And I think just seeing him in that scenario, even though it's not tough competition by any means, seeing how he can orchestrate the offense, how he, what do the deep balls look like? What does it look like with him at the reins of this thing? Those are the big questions. Because I like Temple garbage time, that we saw him in earlier this season. You can barely call that anything at that point in the game. So I'm excited to see what we have behind the center.
He never had Deion Burks once last season either. The whole season that he played and started, Deion Burks was not playing. Okay. So I mean that's something significant to say as well.
Yeah. So completely new, basically across the board. Pass catchers to
which anything better than last year, right? I mean, I'll just take that as a win. Yeah. It's like really, I is this like a weird thing? I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this, but this thought process went through my head. I don't want to restrict a player, but what do you think about the coaching staff for Hawkins saying, "Hey, I know that you can run. You might have opportunities to do so, but I want to push yourself out of your comfort zone, and I want to see you more in the pocket." What are your thoughts on that?
I love that, because that's, like you said, we've seen him run. We know what he can do when he gets out of the pocket and all of that. He's going to have ample time to read the defense, to, find his guys, like Kent State is awful, folks. Like this is they really do not have much hope here at all. So if you want to talk about going up against like an NPC, this is like the NPCs on the easiest like mode possible. So the perfect, kind of dress rehearsal for, anything. So yeah, forcing him to be in a position where he has to be a pure thrower, I think that's pretty great. I'm all in on that, Jameson.
But it does scare me though. Like, do you want, like, this is also his first start of the season. Why don't you just let Michael Hawkins be Michael Hawkins? I see both sides of it. And so I feel kind of weird about it. But I think when it comes down to, I don't think the coaching staff should restrict him as much. Maybe sort of just like, hey, work on this, but you do you, right? And then if we as a fan see him pass, I want to see him pass, for like 250 yards. That's what I want to see in this game.
Yeah.
Is that too much, Ty?
What receiver on our roster is going to be?
Dude, we've been throwing for that much like almost every game.
That's regular. Yeah. Satania's been bowling them in. Mechanic's been good. I mean, that's
the number one thing. Yeah, I was going to say the number one thing, and that's what I was saying, was, again, like if we're looking at things that need to improve, if he's going to be our quarterback from Texas, and I don't want to say needs to improve, right? Because we haven't really seen him passing this season, but that's absolutely the thing to work on. And that's going to be the thing that Texas is a very different presentation than Kent State is going to be. But I think do I run or do I not run as a quarterback decision is much easier to train in practice compared to going through your pass rotations and building that chemistry. There's just something about doing that in a live game environment as the starter, and then also calling the plays, making sure people are set, making sure people are correct, managing the tempo of the offense. All of that, I think, is much more challenging and really requires a game, even if it is just Kent State, to really fine-tune those skills compared to, like you said, just running. And again, he's not a small guy. He's 6'1", he's unbelievably lean, and he's 6'1", like 210 or something. Like he's a big dude, and it's Kent State, but like you can get injured on these runs. Like I would not be upset whatsoever if he had less than 50 rushing yards and was just never rushing unless it was an absolute last resort, and then he was sliding 3-4 yards early just so that no one could touch him in this one. Because if he is going to be our quarterback in Texas, like we talked about with Mateer, like turning that dial of aggressiveness on the quarterback run and on sliding versus taking the hit, and is that extra half yard or something worth it? He's going to have to take those hits. He's going to have to make those runs if he's playing against Texas. So I would much rather see, like, it's irrelevant. Frankly, I do not care if we win this game by 3 points or if we win this game by 50
yes,
points.
you would. Yes, you would care.
No, because I'm a hater, so I win either way. Because
No,
I'll have good talking
that's silly
points either
though.
way.
Like,
But it's like,
no, you
yeah,
OU
this guy just needs
needs to
hate in
put
his
in a
heart.
good
I say
shift
this
here.
every week. This guy needs hate. He needs hate. To
yeah, but
feed on.
I've been sad. Penn State has satisfied me. So the 3 points is a little extreme. But let me say, I don't care if we win by 50 or if we win by 14. Right? It's if we can just be deliberate about this and approach this as almost a practice. And no disrespect to Kent State, you can't overlook that. Right? People, any given Saturday in college football, right? But it's like you talked about, that building that chemistry and building that just sort of comfort as the QB1 with this offense, with a new OC, with completely new pass catchers for him in a game environment. Really like a new line and really a new RB1 as well. Like everything is new entirely. So that's going to be really, really crucial. I think more important than is he going to run for 2? Everyone in the world knows he could put up 400 yards on the ground against Kent State if he wanted to. If we just ran him all the time, but that doesn't get us anything in the long run.
I'm gonna panic if we don't score more than 30 points. Straight
Yeah,
up.
no, the degrees of how bad Kent State is. I mean, these guys are essentially the Washington Generals for major Power 4 conference teams. They show up.
What you
they get
gotta
paid.
hope for is we can just beat them in the run game too, Bobby.
Yeah, this has to be a game. The run game, really starts to show some sort of growth. And I'm looking for guys outside of Torrey Blaylock to step up. I want to see guys that
Don't say it.
I'm not saying Ott. I'm saying Xavier Robinson. I'm saying Xavier Robinson. I'm saying,
I thought I was going to say Taylor Tatum.
Look, some sign of life from Taylor Tatum would be great. I'm all in on that. But we need that running game to be just existent, really. And if you can't run on Kent State, then the whole thing is real screwed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm curious of what Taylor Tatum's at right now in terms of his recovery, because they've been really open, that we know that we're gonna get Giovanni Gibson back from his ankle fracture this game. We know that we're gonna get Eli Bowen back from the high ankle sprain. I don't know if we've heard too much from Taylor Tatum. Maybe they're just not in the business of talking too much about RB4 on this team, so maybe that's it.
But that's why they need to give credentials to Bobby, because the Schooner Pod would ask those questions.
Yes, please comment on. We just talk about the injuries the whole time.
Where is Taylor Tatum? Is he all right?
Yeah, it's not like the coaches hate injury questions. But yeah, I think that you're right, Bobby. It's seeing the other people, and if you go down, look at Kent State's opponents, I think most similar setup to who we are as a team would be how Florida State played them. And we know Thomas Castellanos is going to be kind of a similar player to that. I mean, I'm not comparing him. Castellanos is better than Hawkins, but it's similar kind of build. And Castellanos threw the ball 13 times, 205 yards. And then their running backs ran for 97, 86, 64, I think, was either a wide receiver or a running back. So we need to have something like that where we have two runners bordering 100 yards, or else I'm going to be kind of disappointed. I don't think I'm going to panic because I already know that a running back situation is really, really poor. But I think that this is the game to do it. And if they don't do it, then it's you can just throw the running backs in the trash at this point.
Well, we saw them look bad against Illinois State. They weren't overly good against, Blaylock was good against Temple. And, obviously against, Michigan and Auburn, they were really non-existent. So this is the time to start establishing yourself if you're a back outside of Torrey Blaylock. That, hell, even Torrey Blaylock,
they just got to give him a damn opportunity, though. That's the thing. We haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I mean, we just haven't seen much of it at all. But it's time to open that up. And I would love to see some more diversity in the type of runs we do. I saw at one point we were going I formation, for God's sake. I know that might be an unpopular opinion. I'm okay with that. Just do whatever you can do to kind of break something free.
It really is dependent on how much our offensive linemen can run with all of their ankles like being hurt.
Yeah. We're 5 weeks into the season. We're undefeated, and Bobby's on the podcast going, "Run the damn wishbone."
There's
be
a
kinda
difference
fun.
between saying bring
I
back
will
the bone and
Yeah,
do that. Although I will say, well, no, we don't have the backs for it.
it does. It does need to be said. I just looked this up. I didn't realize how bad it truly is as a team. So not just the backs. We're at 501 rushing yards for the season. That's rough.
You said just for the backs?
No. That's
I was
every.
about to say. That's got to be a lot. Mateer's got to have like what, 200.
That is.
You think?
Well, actually, I guess I can look at individual stats.
Yes.
Florida
Tell me
State,
how much
for
Mateer's
example.
got.
Yeah. So Florida State, for example, because this is going to help the compare. Yeah, he has 190. So basically 200.
Okay.
Yeah. So. Yeah, FSU has 1,300 something, almost 1,400.
Yeah, Gavin Sawchuk, much better than all of our running backs.
And look, I'm just gonna say it with Sawchuk, and to some degree even Tawi Walker at Cincinnati. You see a lot of guys go off and to other spots that they look pretty.
Oh, we got more. You got Hollywood
there
Smothers.
Is another.
State.
Yeah, Hollywood Smothers.
There is another.
This year or
Seth
last year?
McGowan being gone is not because of DeMarco Murray. That was his fault. that was all Seth McGowan.
Shout out to Sooner legend Seth McGowan, who spiked a ball at someone's grandfather.
It was Grandpa Sellers.
He did the NCAA 26 throw ball into crowd celebration.
Yeah,
poor Grandpa
Sellers looking like, I don't know. I didn't see Grandpa Sellers get up, but he could easily be like walking with the walker for all we know.
Some people are calling for his arrest. Google Seth McGowan arrest to learn more. But
Lord. But I will say, I don't know. I don't want it to be. I don't want to be too harsh on this situation, but the running back room has just been a question mark for the past couple of years, and just some strange stuff happens every single year with rotations. That there's always guys who you're like, why aren't we seeing more of this guy? And I don't know. I don't get it. I'm at a point where I really don't get it there. And when it's a matter of something smells fishy here. Something's up.
Can I do a bit of a bit here?
I don't know. I don't think
look,
when we're involving DeMarco Murray conversations, a bit of a bit can go a lot of different ways.
It's general. One, and if something is true and in the media, it's not a bit. But when is the last time we had a former OU player on staff who was successful? Josh Heupel. I would like kind of say, like, you could maybe say Cale Gundy, but like circumstances of departure.
I think that's successful.
But successful in role up to that point.
Yeah.
But I am kind of at the point where if someone's applying for a job on OU staff and they played at OU, they should be disqualified.
I will say, I had my frustrations with Jeff Lebby. He was not that bad.
He didn't play at OU.
He did.
He did. He played. I thought he was a GA.
No. He suited up. I don't know in terms of how much burn he got, but I'm with you. The nepotism hire situation. It's clearly not the right way. You can tell that obviously Brent has kind of gone away from that, which is good. Hopefully, with the Arbuckle deal. But going forward, I think that's just not, someone being an OU alum or having worked in the Stoops or like played for Stoops, like that's not a prereq for, having a good, for being a good fit for the job. That's just not the case anymore. And
I'll say
DeMarco's still out on
higher at the time, because the amount of clout that he brought to the recruiting game at the running back position was a big deal. Now, did we pick a couple of the wrong ones? Yeah. Yeah. Like, was Bijan Robinson versus Jason McClellan a part of DeMarco? I think no, that was Bullware. That was Bullware. So that one sucks. But I mean, like, going after, there's still some players that we got, like Taylor Tatum. I don't know if we would have gotten without DeMarco. Javante Barnes we would have not gotten without DeMarco. All guys that were good gets at the time just didn't develop into it. So I think it was a success in what they thought they were going to get, but obviously the development, I'm tired of seeing a freshman running back being our best running back, and then all of a sudden the next year they're non-existent.
Yeah, it's a problem. It happens every year, and we have so many guys with promise just fall off the face of the planet. And, I feel bad, like we're kind of dooming on this show. Like maybe it's just like the post bye week, everyone's
It's
exhausted.
just what we do as Oklahoma fans.
Because we didn't get a win this past Saturday.
There you go. Yeah, he was winless on Saturday.
It's really what it is like we are now confident in this team and what they can do right now. Straight up, like this is a team that can make the playoffs. We are the number 5 team in the nation. That is a big deal. And so therefore we are going to nitpick and we're going to go after things that we think that are imperfections that we want to improve on. In the past season, we were just dooming, but without any kind of fix. We were like, this team sucks. It's like a completely different thing. We're just trying to say is what can we make this team better to actually go far in the postseason? Because that's how special this defense is.
Yeah. I mean, that's the truth, and it's well, frankly, would just be bad podcasting if we just were like, oh, look how good this is good. This is also good. That's you kind of have to figure it out because I feel like this is a very good team that with a couple with some fixes, with some changes, can make that leap to great, damn near elite, maybe. That's how good that defense is. It's just a matter of kind of fixing some issues on offense, and I think there are going to be a lot of questions about how many deficiencies exist on that offense that were covered up by Mateer. I think that's going to be interesting. And I think health is number one of everything on the offensive end, not just Mateer, but everything on the offensive line. That is going to be a question for sure. Ty?
Yes, speaking of dooming, there is in fact one way in which our defense is becoming quite exceptional, and it's not a good thing. We still have yet to generate it. Obviously, they didn't get a chance this weekend, but we still have yet to generate a turnover. Is that going to change this weekend against Kent State?
One, man, this dude's been so close, and then Kendall Daniels dropping the interception too. Like we have, like if we don't get a punch out in this game, I'm going to be really pissed. And I mean, I'm fine, but I'm going to be mad about it.
It's Kent State. It's Kent State. You should get one.
I don't know. Like the only positive I have, like if we don't get one against Kent State, it's our second best opportunity left on the schedule behind Arch Manning. But
I mean,
Arch plays against us. But
in all honesty, I think there's a better chance we get a turnover versus Texas than a turnover versus Kent State.
That's what I was going to say.
I don't know if I disagree there. Just because of the type of defense we'll be throwing at them,
And then also these teams like Illinois State, Temple, Kent State, they have to play a conservative offense because if they're too aggressive versus us, they don't have enough time to pass the ball. And if they get too tricky, they're screwed. They got to be vanilla, and they're not going to win, but that's the only chance to at least do something.
We had multiple missed opportunities for like that should have, could have, would have, should have.
More versus Auburn
turnovers. Yeah.
More versus Auburn versus an offense that was trying to do more. Less opportunities versus a team like Temple.
Yeah. I do have another.
Did have that almost really cool pick six where
I know.
Yeah. Halton.
Yeah. The big boy pick six. I do have another really quick.
That's kind of like a fluky kind of turnover. That was didn't have anything to do with Temple being aggressive.
Yeah, that doesn't count. I won't hold it against a D lineman for not catching a interception that he had to fully lay out for, although only because he tripped because he got too excited. But
I'll hold it against
mad at him. I just wish it happened.
Yeah. Really quick note as we move on. Levy, I guess, did commit to OU and then got a career-ending injury in preseason his freshman year. So it was never on a game roster for OU. But we'll count that as a player.
There you go.
Yeah, maybe an OU legend. How about that? OU
And I got to say, Levy is doing a lot better. Like what Levy's done at Mississippi State is really
yeah, it's
impressive.
Yeah, that was just a fun fact. Don't get me going, because the more we talk about it, it's just, the rodeo bowl is just right behind that little gate, and you're gonna let the talking point out. Keep going.
Yeah. Geez, it's taking everything in me to not just preview Texas at this point.
No, but real quick, back to the defense, right? Is there anything outside of a turnover? Because we talked about on the offense, right? Like approaching this like a practice, some of the stuff you want to see, especially from Michael Hawkins. Outside of a turnover, is there really anything we want to see from
Eli Bowen,
the defense?
Eli Bowen looking good. Like, I think that we've seen that our deficiency is a lockdown corner, and that's what Eli was last year. And can't explain why he's been out so long with a high ankle sprain. This is a pretty prolonged duration of, being out for that injury. So I'm hoping he's back to what we thought he was last year. But at the same time, there is a clear spot on the other end from Cortland Guillory, and especially whenever Gentry is sitting out, of having a guy like Eli in, Kendall Dolby, Eli, Gentry, and Cortland Guillory. I think I would feel pretty good about that as a 4 cornerback depth chart.
Yeah,
I mean, that's the fact that we've done what we've done without Eli Bowen is pretty impressive.
Yeah. And I mean, I'd still say that's the weakest position group on our defense, but it's clear that watching that Auburn game, that obviously we schemed it where we wanted Jackson Arnold to throw those balls and beat us with Cam Coleman, because they did not believe he could make a lot of those, and he missed a lot of those throws. So I think it was a good scheme, but it does show us that, Cortland Guillory isn't the best cornerback in the nation. That some like the hype he was getting, obviously not that kind of hype, but still, he wasn't amazing to the point where he can take Cam Coleman one-on-one, because not a lot of people can do that right now. So Eli Bowen, in terms of his PFF grades last year, his cover was stellar. So he was really sticking with people. And the really only times that he got burned last year is whenever he just got beat over the top because he was too short.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say about Bowen, is that's kind of the one thing with, I don't know how much he would have helped against Cam Coleman in some spots just because of his height. No. What Bowen does best is a guy like Ryan Williams of Alabama, for example. I thought he did excellent on him last year. But that's a whole 3-inch difference there, which is significant.
And I mean, Texas wide receivers, there's nowhere even close to the Auburn wide receivers. Like DeAndre Moore and Ryan Wingo being their best players.
Well,
and so,
they can be as open as they want. That doesn't mean the ball's going to come their way. So
the
ball can be thrown
down in the dirt first.
Here's a good question: who's the next best? Is Cam Coleman the best wide receiver we're facing this year? And who else would be in that list? You would have Ryan Williams of Alabama, of course.
Chris Brazzell probably would be the I'd say, if you're saying who's probably the best, I might even pick Chris Brazzell over Cam Coleman right now. Just because of age and experience. And I think, Coleman's, he's a lot higher. But I mean, Chris Brazzell's, he's dirty, man. That guy's good. That's another guy that's going to be hard to cover. He's got speed and height. 6'5", man. That's ridiculous height.
Yeah, the 6'5" is, that's nuts. And again, give just a matchup nightmare. Shoot, Aaron Anderson, at LSU, pretty solid too.
I think LSU's room.
Yeah.
Bits aside, LSU's room is, if they can get stuff figured out, because we're their last game of the season. If they can get stuff figured out over there, that is a little worrisome. And I got to do my bit too, right? Nick Anderson hasn't had a ton of catches, but that touchdown against Ole Miss was insane. He had an insane catch against Ole Miss. And then if you look at his stats, it's very 2023 OU Nick Anderson, where he's really not touching the ball like all game, but when he does, it's like a giant play. Like he's had 8 receptions and 2 touchdowns, and both of them have been sensational touchdowns. So.
Dude, LSU's
I worry about that storyline.
Problem, man. Their tackles just they miss Emory Jones and Will Campbell. That's really what it is. Like that's a big deal. And I think Nussmeier is a guy that was probably overhyped.
I think we saw a lot of that from quarterbacks this year.
There really is. It's been an interesting year for QBs, and I think I don't know, because I'm not even saying it's bad, but like guys like Trinidad Chambliss, who would have saw that coming? He's been excellent for Ole Miss. But I think the quarterback play is good. It's just not the ones we thought. Drew Aller, not ideal.
Yeah,
there's
another one with the sample size. Yeah, same thing. Cade Klubnik and Drew Aller, same category. Large sample size. We've seen this before. We thought age was going to do it. We already know what they are. They've already presented themselves to us. They can go out. They will make good plays on some occasions, but whenever it really matters, I'm not a believer.
It's a brand, yeah. It's their 3 or 4 highlights, and then they just have a million fans, so all the casuals see like a bunch of Drew Aller highlights in the off season. So you remember his name.
A lot of 5-star Jags out there.
There's not going to be many people posting Drew Aller highlights anymore after what student section, Penn State fans were saying some bad things about Drew Aller. And so, I mean, all bits aside, you're right. The college football quarterback landscape is really, really open. There's some good players out there, but there's no like star-studded there's no for sure superstars. I even think Mateer has his vices, and I think especially coming off injury, he will have plenty of vices. Coming forward, like I said in the past podcast, if y'all want more on what the Mateer injury was, just go back and listen to our old podcast, because really there's not too much that's changed since then. His grip strength is going to be decreased probably for the rest of the season. So what you guys know about him as a thrower right now, I'm hoping that he can kind of get it together later in the season.
Yeah, and again, anything we'd be trying to come up with, it's all just conjecture. The OU put out the statement that the surgery went well. That's all you need to know. Because any speculation about him and his availability for Texas between now and then, you're not going to know till he's out on the field. I'm not making the damn Dylan Gabriel mistake where it's like, oh, he's suited up and warming up at the Cotton Bowl, like he's going to play, and then I have to watch Braden Willis, wild card for an entire game. I'm not taking the bait again.
If they release what the surgery was, but they never will, they're going to keep that close to the vest.
Of course, that's just part of it. So, I hope to see him back sooner rather than later for sure. But you never know with that.
I told you. I honestly don't want him to play in Texas game. Straight up.
Yeah. No, I get it.
That's my take on it.
He's a tough son of a gun, though. Playing Auburn. The last 3 quarters of that. With that thumb, that takes some nails.
Thumbnails.
Oh God.
I thought that would be funnier than it was.
Okay, that was good.
No, it was not good, Bobby.
It wasn't. That was.
Here's the problem, Jameson, is I find those to be amusing, and I apologize. I'm also in the minority there, but I got a little chuckle.
I was cooking up a joke about if Mateer didn't have the grip strength to play, would he still be able to both hands Fletcher's corny dogs? But I don't want to trigger getting into a 3-hour State Fair food podcast, which we will be doing, maybe not 3 hours, but we will be doing a big, one of our favorite pods of the year, breaking down all the Texas State Fair foods. Much more exciting podcast coming next week.
I saw some influencers breaking down some of the foods on social media last week, and it got me excited. Oh, it's so good. October is the best month of the year, boys. The best month of the year by far.
And I also got to say, I think this has been one of the best college football seasons in a long time.
Oh, it's
in a
been
while.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is it. It doesn't have the shock factor that like 2007 had, but in terms of just high quality, good football, it's been just a treat week after week after week.
Is this showing that the pendulum has kind of settled from the portal and NIL? Because I will say there was a bunch of arguments in the first couple years because not a lot changed, and you had a bunch of headlines of people moving around and in these crazy situations where players are making crazy money and then never playing. Still, some of that. Shout out to Jade Knott, but it does seem like we have more of a any given Saturday situation this year, week after week after week. There was always that one week that was like upset week, but it sure seems like week after week after week. There's definitely the haves and the have-nots still, but it does seem like we have much more of an any given Saturday. And when we get into the weekend spread on Wednesday, you'll see that like some of these lines are not what you would expect in the past couple of years.
Or it's just because the talent in college football right now is just way more even and not as lopsided. That's my take. I just don't think there's just like studs out there right now. Like there's a couple of like real big studs on the defensive end, but the offensive end,
kids this generation are just too lazy to put in the work across the board. That's what we're going with.
Oh,
yeah.
God.
Would you guys? Can you name me
I will
one?
say we put one random defender who couldn't even start on our defense on the offense, and he's maybe the best guy in the offense. So you might have some truth to this, James.
You just
Like,
don't have the
name
juggernaut.
me the biggest offensive stud in college football right now, off the top of the dome. You're gonna sit there and you're gonna go, I don't know. That's weird. That's weird for college football. Usually, you'd be able to say very quickly a name.
Well, and I feel like the preseason guys are all haven't been burning it.
Exactly. So there's no like big talents, and like sometimes you can name it and you're like, oh, there's like 3 or 4 guys I can compete against. Right now, I don't know. Who are you gonna say?
I mean, it's John Mateer before he hurt his
Dante
thumb.
Moore.
Dante Moore's good. They've only
Moore's
played one like good team, but damn, was that that was a good team in a tough environment.
Yeah, it's weird, but like at the same time, like I don't know. I really don't. I truly don't know who I would say. Like,
I
who's
mean,
the
I would
best
say
offensive player in college football right now.
in terms of impact on their team, it's got to be. This is going to be a wild one coming from me. So first, the non-wild one first is it's got to be Trinidad, right, at Ole Miss. That was
But that's like MVP. But who's the best?
Here's the wild one. Well, yeah. So I guess I am saying MVP, right? Like not college football wide, but if you're really, really weighting impact on team, Diego Pavia.
I mean, that's not wrong, honestly.
Yeah,
that's not wrong.
I mean, we want to talk about MVP, culture builder, culture maker. Like, yeah. I mean, this Vanderbilt team is like legitimately good. They put up another 50 burger last week. Like they aren't like some sort of flash in a pan anymore.
Yep. Yeah. Alabama game coming up. It's gonna be fun.
We'll see what's going on with that. But yeah, that is a good point.
We're taking away our weekend spread stuff.
Yeah, a little bit. But we have to divvy it up a little bit, you know. Mm. Oh, Jameson, I do have a little bit of State Fair, news because it just opened. So we have learned we have boots on the ground because it just opened this weekend. Correspondent went out and checked out the beer barn, and we have we officially, the white smoke is coming from the beer barn, and we know the cheap beer of the year, and it's they went with a nice Coors Banquet.
Oh yes, they've done this before, and what a great choice!
The Coors Banquet years are good.
Yellow bellies.
Yeah, going with that over like a Lone Star or a PBR. Yeah,
Lone Stars and I think PBR is my least favorite of the years.
Yeah. I would agree with that. If I had to power rank them, it would definitely be Lone Star, PBR, Lone Star, and then that Yellow Belly. Coors Banquet's like a legitimately good beer. Like people should rejoice about that. If you don't know the beer barn, you should know. We'll tell you more about that during the State Fair.
I do a Bobby meet and greet at the State Fair.
It accidentally becomes that because I've run into a couple of y'all up there. But it's all good. I always like chit-chatting with folks from the who listen. The folks who do listen to the show. I think it's just really cool that that people actually watch. Like some people actually watch this, which is neat. But I actually meeting people. That's neat. All right. Do we have anything else to say ahead of Kent State?
No, nope. I'm just excited for the injuries and excited for the new guys. Let's
excited for the injuries.
Excited for the. Okay, that was really bad.
Out of context, that was awful.
I'm excited for the players coming back from injury to play. Yikes! Get me off of this podcast, Bobby.
Did you make an oath, Jameson? Like, I guess it's to do no harm, but you.
I love volume, I guess. God.
Well, if everyone was perfectly healthy, Jameson, you'd be out of a job.
Yeah, get me off. I'm sorry.
You want me to get you?
See, now we're getting conspiratorial. Now Bobby's getting into they're making us sick so they can sell us
Bobby.
All right, sorry.
I just need to use better words.
Just wait till we get to the weekend spread on Wednesday and these guys start talking about the Texas A&M backs.
Oh, and you're talking about the number one person in the weekend spread.
Hey, we have Aggie listeners on the weekend spread now. We had a guy comment that he listens every week and also admonished Blake for how he pronounces Tyler Bussey's name. It's like, please never pronounce it Bussey ever again. Which honestly, you just made him
no, it's gonna keep happening.
You've just made him more fired up. And he lost Sam Pittman, so this is all he has.
Yeah, I want you to pose who's the most explosive player in college football right now to Blake on the weekend spread on Wednesday, and I'm gonna prime him for it. So we're gonna have a great answer.
Just lob.
I'm gonna prepare my client for that cross examination. You never guess what he's gonna say.
All right. Well, guys, good show. It was fun.
How much Oklahoma did we talk? Nah, but
we talked a good amount. Not at the end. We just kind of tailed off and just.
We're only here to entertain. That's all we do.
Sometimes we're here to just entertain ourselves, but
yes,
most of the time.
Well, that's the goal. We're having fun, but Thunder Media Day tomorrow. That's weird.
Oh my God, Bobby.
We're ending the podcast. Thank y'all so much for watching. We'll be back on Wednesday in a more, tight, figured out, format as usual with the weekend spread, making some pretty solid picks. Looking forward to that. Not looking forward to everyone roasting me for going 0-2 on Wild Card and Pot of Greed. That was not pretty. But we'll see you Wednesday. 8:30 p.m. Central. Make sure to tune in live or check us out the next day. So until then, have a good week, everyone, and Boomer Sooner.